Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports. It's a Wednesday here on the HAN Network, and I'm willing to take a stab, unless you're watching this tomorrow or, sometime next week. It's a Wednesday where you are as well. Happy to have you along. AJ Simonowski and Andrew Mitchell keeping me going over on the other side of the controls. And here we are for a Wednesday show, final show of the week. Dave Stewart will join us in a little bit. Donald Eng taking this week, or today off, I should say, to do his Monroe Courier thing. But Dave will join us via phone, and we'll catch up on everything that went on in the FCIAC and kind of put a ribbon on a bunch of things. Dave, of course, saw a lot of the lacrosse from over the weekend, as well as some other stuff. And the FCIAC banquet was last night, and I think that's important to get to as well. An important night for the FCIAC as we begin to really officially say goodbye to John Kutzo and Ralph King, who will very much be a part of the conference going forward. There's no question about it. But they are stepping down from their official capacities. But they also made it pretty clear that if needed, they will also be around to support the incoming group of really Dave Schultz, who will now head things as commissioner, and Joe Matafari will be the assistant to Dave Schultz. So should be a good conference going forward, and really, hopefully very seamlessly, they'll move right into the next regime. But let's catch up on some of the things that went on around us last night. And again, at this point, we've hit that point where this is kind of a weird week to start, because you're just coming off that high of all the championships, whether it be all the state tournaments or even the FCIAC tournaments, although those were a few weeks back. You're still kind of riding that wave, and then all of a sudden, and we talked about it, that wave where you reach the end of, say, the World Series, the Super Bowl, and that next day you go, now what? And that's kind of where we are. But there is Legion baseball going on, for instance, and we talked about it on Nutmeg Sports this morning. Trumbull is playing tremendous baseball, 8-0 on the year. They beat Ridgefield at the back end of a two-game set. They beat them 14-3, and in both games, the earlier game on Monday as well, in each game, they had to work the mercy rule on them. So 14-3 last night. Frank Puglias pitching 5 strong innings, giving up a hit, a walk, striking out 3. And they only played 6 innings of that game. Matt Fasoli had 3 hits, including a first-inning double and 2 RBIs. And, maybe the name's not as familiar, but if I say Andrew Loico to you, 3 hits and an RBI for Trumbull, now you're saying, oh, I know that name. He was in, of course, the FCIAC championship game and played for Trumbull High School. And that's what you get quite often, is some of these very good current players as well as past players, because it's 19 under baseball, so some pretty good stuff there. Stanford beat Darien 3-1. Also Greenwich with a win, and Greenwich is playing well also. 6-5, they beat Fairfield. Buzz is that Greenwich is also a top-flight team to keep an eye on in Legion baseball this year, as is Trumbull. We already told you Trumbull's so good, but as far as I know, Greenwich looking pretty solid at 6-0 on the year as well. So you get really good quality baseball in American Legion ball. And in the junior division, you've got Greenwich beating Fairfield 3-2, and Stanford with a 10-0 shutout of the Darien New Canaan team. So they're off and running, and really, as I said, 8 games in, they're pretty solid into that season. It runs into mid-July with tournament play after that, and you pretty much wrap it up by the 1st of August, unless you go on to, say, a higher state national tournament, that kind of thing. Let's turn our attention now to some news out of New Canaan, with the Joe Sikorski Memorial Award, given annually to those seniors who display the traits in which Coach Sikorski saw in the best of his athletes. That's leadership, loyalty, enthusiasm, dedication, and pride in New Canaan High School. And the names, if you've watched Nutmeg Sports or you've followed enough of our coverage, you're going to be familiar with these names. David Strupp, Sammy Stewart, and Catherine Granito are this year's winners of the Joe Sikorski Memorial Award. We know about David Strupp, a 2-sport captain. He helped the Rams football and boys lacrosse teams to state championships this year. The New Canaan senior was an all-FCIAC first-team selection in both sports, and this past week was named an All-American in lacrosse. We've also talked quite a bit about Sammy Stewart and Catherine Granito. There is Sammy, one of 2 captains, one of several captains, in fact, on the New Canaan girls lacrosse team, and along with Catherine, scored 2 key goals during the second half of the 7-4 win over Barlow in the Class M State Championship game on Saturday. Catherine, of course, we saw her not only play girls lacrosse, but we saw her in field hockey. We saw her in ice hockey. I mean, really just a tremendous athlete. And as we know, we've gotten to know Frank Granito so well here on the program and throughout our broadcast. Part of a very good athletic family. You can't help but almost get jealous. They're so good at what they do. So congratulations to Catherine and to Sammy and to David Strupp as well. I still have a little bit of a problem with Catherine Granito because apparently she likes AJ and that's about it. So that's a whole different. As a broadcaster, I should say, as a broadcaster. Apparently not enamored with anyone else on the crew, including her own brother, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, congratulations to them. We're just having a little bit of fun. They are playing, of course, baseball up in Danbury, where the Danbury Westerners are off and running. And we've talked about them a few times and carried a few of their games on the old HAN radio site last year. Now, the Westerners lost to the Keene Swamp Bats 6-3 last night, and their record continues to fall. But you know what? Again, that's very good baseball. If you've never seen the Cape Cod League, that would be my first suggestion. By all means, check out the Cape Cod League. I've had a chance to see a couple of games up there, and it's really great stuff. But the NECBL is right there. Is it as good as the Cape? It might be, but it's very close. At worst, it is a hair, and I mean a hair below it. Good quality baseball, and a lot of kids that you'll recognize from our area, including, as I mentioned on Coffee Break yesterday, Randy Polonia, the former Trinity Catholic star, now pitching at UConn, is on the Danbury Westerners. He unfortunately took the loss on Monday, but that's some good baseball being played up there and good quality. You're going to want to check it out, and some of our own HAN Network guys have made the move over to the NECBL. Kevin Coleman is one of the broadcasters for Danbury, and Justin Galanti is with the Ocean State Waves up in Narragansett, Rhode Island. So best of luck to those guys, and of course best of luck to everybody throughout the NECBL. Some good stuff going on there. We haven't given a whole lot of play to the Bridgeport Bluefish, but let's turn our attention to them. They've been kind of scuffling throughout the Atlantic League, but one thing the Atlantic League does that helps you a little bit, you're not going to automatically turn the switch on between first half and second half, but you have that opportunity. One thing the Atlantic League does, as well as being a pioneer of the whole pace of play movement, which I think is a legitimate thing for baseball to want to try to get under control, more so at the major league level, because you've got these games that are stretching 3 and 4 hours, especially Yankee Red Sox game. But in the Atlantic League, they're the ones who said, we want to get our fans out here, we want the fans to come out, but we also want to make sure we give you good entertainment, because among the younger fans, the talk is that the game of baseball is boring. Now, I could give you a whole discussion as to why it's not, but that's for another time. But the Atlantic League also gives you that opportunity. Once you get through the first half of the year, you can hit that reset button, because the records, there's an overall record, but there's also a second half record. Win the second half, you're into the playoffs. So that's kind of how it works in the Atlantic League. That being said, Bluefish, as I said, kind of scuffling a bit. Although they did win last night 1-0 over the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. Beautiful stadium, in fact. I believe Brooks Robinson had a hand in getting that team up and running. But Jonathan Galvez, with an RBI single in the fourth, scored Endy Chavez. And I know all Met fans love the name of Endy Chavez. That being said, of course, Endy Chavez's catch in Game 7 of the 06 NLCS was great. The problem is, you also, Carlos Beltran and a big breaking ball from Adam Wainwright. But anyway, they continue that series in Maryland tonight. We haven't also forgotten about the Stratford Breakettes. Now, they're off until tomorrow, but if you don't know them, they are some of the best softball you will find around the area. A nationally recognized softball team is literally a 10-minute drive from our offices here in Shelton. It's not very far away at all, and it's a pretty nice stadium. We always joke about taking your bug spray when you go out there. Yes, the mosquitoes can be a little bit of a pain, but it's a beautiful place to go watch, and there's some really good softball. We'll hope to have some of people representing the Breakettes coming on with us here on Nutmeg Sports, so I'm very happy about that. And we want to remind you, before we take a break and get set up for Dave Stewart to join us, voting for the FCIAC HAN Network Athlete of the Week does continue online at han.network. Now, that's the Week 9 voting. We're going to get you the Week 10 voting as well. But get voting out there. Got to keep that going on. We'll take a break here on Nutmeg Sports. Monologue aside, Dave Stewart joins us right after this on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account. not just balances. Where community comes first. A place where there's more than one kind of interest. Where automation will never replace consideration. Where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
For more than 50 years, Triple S has been Fairfield County's expert service for carpet, upholstery, and drapery cleaning. We provide the best in repairs and in-depth restoration, understanding fabrics and how to properly clean and restore them. Our staff will come to your home to clean your wall-to-wall carpet to perfection. We can also pick up your fine carpets and bring them to our facilities. With locations in Norwalk, Stamford, and Stratford, Triple S will get the job done fast, big or small. At Triple S, you can count on our people as well as our cleaning. Find us at triplesclean.com or 203-847-8000. Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. My property taxes on my single-family home were close to $20,000 a year. Now that I've downsized and I'm in a townhome, and because of the condo tax laws, my fees have gone from $20,000 down to about $5,300 with the star exemption. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
I'm Kate Chaplinsky. Join us for Coffee Break, weekdays at 11 to get the latest Connecticut news, weather, high school sports, and more. News doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break on the HAN network. I'm Kate.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Chop off your knives to be sharpened. Grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Warm weather, light breezes, boats are in the water. There's no better place to celebrate summer than the Dock Shop. Whether in Darien at 51 Tokenique Road or Westport at 609 Riverside Avenue, the Dock Shop is where you'll find everything you need to kick off summer. From the latest summer apparel to the newest fishing tackle, the Dock Shop will help you get the most out of your next beach day or harbor cruise. At the Dock Shop, you'll find a wonderful selection of items made in the USA and right here in New England, all with a distinct nautical flair. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the coastal lifestyle, this is a unique place to shop. DockShop.com.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. I'm Rob Adams. Donald Eng with the day off, a little lonely without my partner over there, but we do have Dave Stewart, who will be back and occupying that desk very soon, but a lot going on still for Dave, but we're happy to bring him back on the program anyway. Dave, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, it's a busy week with all the graduations and year-end banquets and stuff like that. It's fun, but it'd be nice to have a few days off,
Let's start with the topic of year-end banquets, because the FCIAC held their year-end banquet last night, and I know inducted some new people into the Hall of Fame, as well as a few awards that they gave out. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, of course, it had a different tone this year because, of course, John Kutzo and Ralph King are stepping aside after so many years in the league, and with Dave Schultz and Joe Matafari taking over for him. But those guys have been synonymous with the league for years and years, and John sometimes takes some criticism for stuff he does, but you can't you can't argue with the success he's had. I mean, you look at where the FCIAC stands in comparison to other leagues in the state, and just the dedication, the time he's put in, and the time Ralph's put into that stuff. They really mean a lot to the league. So it's really, when you think about it, it's the end of an era for the FCIAC there with those two leaving.
For those who don't know, Dave, kind of help us understand the as you said, John had his detractors over the years. Why? What would people find that troubled them with John? I always found him great to work with, but what would the critics say?
I think some of the critics has more to do with the league and decisions they made. Like we had the whole thing with the football schedule over the past couple of years, and some other things like that, and a lot of the stuff that when it is critical of the league itself, of the FCIAC, John is kind of the guy that falls on, because he is the FCIAC. He was the guy who established it. He's the guy who built it, and he's really the guy who has gotten it where it was today. I've always found John to be very, very much easy to work with, just a great guy, and really when it comes right down to what he's got, his concerns have to do with the kids, with the league, with the teams that are playing. And like I said, if you look at the state championships that the FCIAC has every year, the wins and losses, and how well the teams do in the tournaments, even teams that are around 500 in the league go into tournaments and win a couple of games. You can't argue with success and what they've built here. And for the 17 schools in there, it's just this like I said, it's the end of an era with John leaving.
It absolutely is, and we know that he was also, and more than just the administrator that he became, he was also a track and cross country coach, and Ralph King was a coach as well. I mean, these guys didn't just become figureheads; they really were very hands-on in terms of coaching as well.
Yeah, they were in the trenches. They were successful, successful coaches, successful administrators. I mean, really every step along the way, they've done well, and the teams and the schools have been better for it.
Now, they gave out awards named after both of these gentlemen last night, including an award going to Ed McDowell. And both the gentlemen who received awards, Ed McDowell and Terry Lowe, have Greenwich ties. What about those?
Yeah, those. Well, you've got the Ralph King Award, which obviously named for Ralph King here, and it's according to the FCIAC, it's going to be annually recognize someone who has made substantial contributions to the league, and it's called the Distinguished Coach Award, named for Ralph King, and Terry Lowe received that one. Of course, the longtime boys swimming coach at Greenwich High School, and just a good guy, and you can't. I'm looking at the list here. 555 wins and only 41 losses in dual meets, 47 FCIAC titles, 43 of the past 44 AA championships, and 32 of 44 state opens. I mean, what more can you say with the success that he's had there? And then the John Kutzo Award is presented to a member of the education profession who has made significant contributions to high school athletics while exhibiting the qualities of leadership, integrity, and professionalism, which has been synonymous with the man to whom the award is named, John Kutzo. And I'm not doing that off the top of my head. I'm actually reading that off. So, but yeah, that went to Ed McDowell, also of Greenwich, and he's just a classy guy all around, and well known in the FCIAC circles. So, two great guys. I think it's just coincidence that they're both from Greenwich this time, but that'll be something that they're giving from now on, and named after those two guys, it's deserved. It's a great honor for the two people who received it this time.
I totally agree, and you've got the additions to the Hall of Fame as well. Great names. Who are those guys and girls? I should add. We had John Roper, who was obviously a swimming coach, soccer coach, cross country coach from Fairfield. Mo Minikis, who's had a lot of success with Darien High School. I mean, what can you say about Darien this year? But the field hockey team was right in with that group, and she was great. She was pretty emotional actually when she got up there and was giving her speech, and
And I think for some people, this is an emotional moment. For others, they treat it as a kind of a fun time, and it was a time to reminisce. But it was pretty cool. Also, Bo Hickey, we all know from New Canaan football and New Canaan hockey. And Bo was around forever, retired a couple of years ago from hockey. He's been coaching freshman football at New Canaan High School recently because, you can't keep Bo out of coaching for any length of time. But he went into, and then you had Pete Tucci of Norwalk, football and baseball coach, just another great guy. Tom O'Donnell of the Darien golf team, and he's coached several other sports as assistants and and head coach, but he's been the committee chairperson of boys golf, which he's stepping down from this year, and he was also named the FCIAC Coach of the Year in boys golf. And then Chip Salvestrini from the Danbury AD, former Ridgefield AD, and just another great guy who's done a lot to help build programs, add teams to both of those schools, and just all around a good group of people this year.
Very good group of people. And, to that end, you mentioned the success at Darien, and Dan Arestia in the Darien Times, who we've gotten to know here on the HAN network, he and photographer Laureen Valente went out to Darien High School yesterday, in fact, and shot a picture of all the FCIAC championship captains from 2015-16, and there they are. I know, Dave, you can't see them on your screen right now, but there they are from, Jack Niffen, Mark Ivanchik, Timmy Graham, Hudson Hamill, Colin Minikis, just a handful, Chandler Kirby, Richard Brereton off the top of my head, some of the names and faces I can recognize in that picture. And really, Dave, have we ever seen a group like this?
That would be hard to match what they've done this year. I mean, you've got to give credit to that senior class. It's just they had a winning attitude. Sometimes what happens is that you get that momentum of winning, and that permeates through everybody around you, and even kids who may not have been involved with the football program or the field hockey or girls ice hockey programs or boys ice hockey, even the kids who are on some of the other sports that maybe weren't expected to do as well, that kind of winning feeling, that championship feeling, permeates throughout the whole school, and they start to expect to win, and it just catches fire, and this year is, I would have to say, it's unprecedented for a team. I mean, I believe they had 6 FCIAC championships in the spring, and that's among 11 sports and 17 schools. I mean, really, what are the odds of that happening?
Yeah, no, and the picture was a great idea from the editor all the way down through Dan and Laureen as well. Let's take a break here on Nutmeg Sports. We'll come back with more of the show. Dave will stick around. We've got a few more minutes to play with. We'll be back right after this on the HAN Network.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Warm weather, light breezes, boats are in the water. There's no better place to celebrate summer than the Dock Shop. Whether in Darien at 51 Tokenique Road or Westport at 609 Riverside Avenue, the Dock Shop is where you'll find everything you need to kick off summer. From the latest summer apparel to the newest fishing tackle, the Dock Shop will help you get the most out of your next beach day or harbor cruise. At the Dock Shop, you'll find a wonderful selection of items made in the USA and right here in New England, all with a distinct nautical flair. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the coastal lifestyle, this is a unique place to shop. DockShop.com.
At the Language School in Ridgefield, we teach practical language for real life. tailored to your professional needs or those of your children. Offering more than a dozen languages, the school specializes in creating customized classes for businesses, government agencies, and healthcare professionals in Fairfield and Westchester counties. Native speakers from around the world will instruct students of all ages in the language and the culture using a hands-on method. Find out more about what makes us different at thelanguageschoolglobal.com or call us at 203-241-7010.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office. I'm John.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports for this Wednesday here on the HAN Network. I'm Rob Adams. Dave Stewart's still on the line with us, of course, NC Advertiser and FCIAC.net. Dave, only a couple of minutes left in this edition of the show, and we'll talk to you again next week. But how do we begin to kind of put a ribbon on this? And maybe we'll spend more time on it next week. But how do we begin to break down what was a really good season in the FCIAC and really for high school sports in general?
Oh, definitely, and you look at you got to look at. I mean, for the FCIAC, really in the spring, it really begins and ends with lacrosse, with how well they do there. And you had 5 teams or 6 teams actually in the finals this year, and the FCIAC won 4 championships, New Canaan 2 and Darien 2, and it's just a shame. We've talked about this before. On another note, that New Canaan can't play up to Class L because of class size. They're about 64 kids difference between Darien and New Canaan, and New Canaan's stuck in Class M, where there's really no other FCIAC teams, so there's really not as much. I think New Canaan would love to play up. They would have loved to have seen Darien or a Ridgefield again. But yeah, it was a great year for the FCIAC, a great season in particular. I mean, the sports that consistently do well at the state level. Boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse, boys tennis, girls tennis, golf. The golf teams. We had Greenwich winning the girls golf winning the girls golf state championship with Catherine McAvoy, who's been an incredible athlete. And then we're also saying goodbye to some great athletes like from other schools like Hannah DeBalzi from Staples and Eric Vanderels from Brian McMahon, just to name a couple from track, but. So it's sad to see those people go, but then again, there's always people who step up in the FCIAC and seem to be able to, fill their shoes and make their own way next year. And so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's not going to be too long until we're starting up football again, especially with the 7-on-7 tournament coming up in July, and we'll see a bunch of FCIAC teams there. Yeah,
it'll be here before we know it. Have you already kind of looked over the New Canaan football schedule?
I really haven't had an opportunity to. I'm hoping that it's a little more competitive than it was last year. Last year, a lot of the games New Canaan was a blowout, and that means that I don't want to see New Canaan really take a step back. I'd like to see some of the other schools in the FCIAC take a step forward and maybe be a little more competitive with New Canaan and Darien next year, because as you know, most of those games that those two teams were involved in ended up being blowouts, unfortunately. But there were some interesting stories at beyond those two. We had some interesting teams with, like Trinity Catholic comes to mind right off the top of my head. So and Staples is always there. Greenwich will be interesting to see how John Marinelli continues to develop over there, and so there'll be plenty of stories to talk about in football.
And I've already heard some buzz, and I said this on yesterday's show, that some consider Greenwich to be the team to beat already. I think it's a little too soon to determine that, but that's kind of some of the scuttlebutt I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think with Greenwich, the thing is, it's such a storied program, so to speak, and they have so many kids there, and with a coach like John Marinelli, who's able to get those guys fired up. If you get the right combination of people going and you get the momentum in your favor, Greenwich is very formidable on any given year. So it does. I think it is jumping the gun a little bit when you take a team that maybe underachieved last year, and you say they're the team to beat the next year. I want to see them do something on the field first. But you know what? more power to them if they can, and they're in good hands with John. I've known John for years, since his playing days at New Canaan, and he really knows the sport, and he's got the pedigree, of course.
As I look at New Canaan's schedule, I think to myself, September 10th is not that far away. Against Trinity Catholic at 2 o'clock. There are games on Friday night, September 9th as well, and of course with the elimination of the FCIAC championship, now there's that earlier week for all of us to get the season started, so we'll be off and running, as we said, probably Friday night, September 9th. But as I look at this schedule, I look at November 24th, and I see Darien at home, at Dunning Field, at 10:30 in the morning on Thanksgiving, and you realize there is no chance of that game going to Boyle Stadium or anywhere else. It won't be the FCIAC championship game. That has to be at least a little bit different as you look at this season. It
does, and that'll have a different feel the first year without an FCIAC championship, and we've talked about this before, how people from outside the area don't understand what that game meant, to the area and to the league, but I understand the other side of it too, with wanting to have the 10 games and for everybody, and that there are some teams who have not appeared in the FCIAC final in many years, or if at all. And for them, playing that 10th game is a big deal, and getting that game in there. I do like the fact that the state and the league has always kept the Thanksgiving Day games, because I think that's a great tradition, and I think that's something that it has a playoff feel to it, whether the teams are involved in the FCIAC championship or not. So it's cool that we still have that going. But in terms of not having the FCIAC championship, I think, it'll be disappointing. But hey, that's the hand that they were dealt by the CIAC, and I think you're not going to win either way you go. You're not going to win. You're either going to play 9 games like they did last year and have the FCIAC championship, or you're going to get your 10 games and not have it. And it's just kind of what they had to deal with for the time being.
Even I have grudgingly acquiesced to what's going on. Dave, we'll talk to you next week. Hopefully, we'll see you here in studio.
I plan on being up there, so I'll be up there to bother everybody.
All right, Dave. See you then. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Rob.
All right. The great Dave Stewart with us here on Nutmeg Sports. That'll put a wrap on this week's show, or as we like to say, that'll do it for this week. Coffee break, of course, tomorrow. Yankee Fisherman as well. Arts and Leisure. Don't forget about all of that. Friday coffee break also. But right now, no games for the time being, but we'll let you know pretty soon. Thanks to AJ and Andrew on the other side. Kate's hanging out over there, so we'll give her a shout out for all of them. I'm Rob Adams. Enjoy your afternoon. Thanks for watching us on the HAN Network.